Well, this lesson is pretty exciting. It's about the Limburg brothers and how they were really amazing miniature painters for very small illuminated manuscripts that were called Books of Hours, which is essentially the prayers that people were supposed to say every hour to honor Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Jesus himself. So these little books, what's interesting about the reason they were so small is because really they couldn't afford to pay huge amounts of money for the large, detailed, illuminated manuscripts that we have today. And so there were a lot more people that could afford something a little bit smaller, and they would make these books, which were often not illustrated, just enough to remind people what to pray and when to pray. Um, but every once in a while, you had somebody really rich, like John, the French Duke of Berry, who was able to afford more than just one book of hours. He had 14. And he was able to pay a lot of money, spared no expense in quality materials for them to be able to, for these artists, the Limburg brothers, to paint. And it was amazing to see the results of them painting this book of hours in this very tiny scale, very small scale. The whole book itself is only 9 by 6. And then the illustrations really only take up about a quarter of the page. And the amount of detail that they put in them are truly amazing. So what I wanted to point out in this lesson, and what I hope you can gather from this, is that the Limburg brothers themselves were very young when they did this. They were only 16 to 19 when they started, and they were in their 30s when they died. We assume from the Black Plague, but we don't know for sure. So what's interesting about this is how much they were able to accomplish in their very young lives. And the fact that you really need a microscope to see so much of the detail that they have. A lot of it is just simply not visible to the naked eye, which means they must have been using some kind of magnification. But it's interesting because they added these details, even really knowing that perhaps we wouldn't even be able to see them, which makes me think that they were just thinking about God. They must have felt, or I hope they felt, that what they were doing was for God, and even if people couldn't see the details without some sort of magnification, that God could see the details. And I think that God is in the details of our lives, and He knows what we're doing, and the choices that we make now will have such a huge impact in how we can touch and reach other people. Anyway, it was a fun lesson for me to prepare, and I hope you enjoy going through it. Thanks.